Kate. This is, of course, an unmanned flight, but again, it'll put this Bulgarian telecommunications satellite into what's called geostationary orbit. And this is actually a double-header weekend for SpaceX. They're going to attempt this launch today, and then on Sunday, a second launch from the west coast of the same type of Falcon 9 rocket, which is what we're looking at right now. They would be going through their final preparations in this last 60 seconds before launch.
Double header, as you mentioned, 2 rockets within 48 hours on this vertical launch pad here. And it looks like you can see the climate conditions looks pretty clear. There have been times when it hasn't been so great. And you never know with these unmanned rockets exactly how this might go down.
You also never know, like in the last 40 seconds here, they could just decide to scrub it if not all the checks come out, in which case the launch window is open for another hour, 4:10. That's based on complicated math that I'll never understand, and weather patterns to launch this thing. But we'll see if it gets off the ground here in about 18 seconds.
And this booster that's going to fly here from Kennedy Space Center, it was actually used this past January to deliver the 10 Iridium satellites to orbit. It was initially slated on June 19th. It was pushed back for additional fixes. Why don't we listen in?
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Copies.
GC, moved post launch pad operations.
GC copies.
Secure the pad.
Falcon 9 is on its way to delivering Bulgaria Sat-1 to a geostationary transfer orbit. All 9 Merlin engines capable of putting out over 1.7 million pounds of thrust. We are coming up on max Q at 1 minute and 18 seconds roughly. We'll be passing through max Q, that is maximum aerodynamic pressure. We just crossed through it. That is one of the highest stressed states on the rocket. So we're over 20 kilometers above the surface of Earth. You can see the engine plume expand at the base of the rocket. That is indicative that we are leaving Earth's atmosphere.
And that chill's begun.
You just heard the call out that the Merlin vacuum engine on second stage has begun chilling in. This means that we are getting ready for 3 major events. Main engine cutoff, MECO 1, stage separation, and second engine start. We'll talk about all 3 of them after they occur. What you just saw there in quick succession was MECO, main engine cutoff, followed by stage separation, which was done by 4 pneumatic actuators on the forward end of our first stage. And then on the right side of your screen, you are seeing the glowing red nozzle of our second stage engine. That glowing red nozzle on the second stage is how you can see that we have a good ignition in space. We will have fairing separation in about 15 seconds. Just happened right now. It's like a good separation of the fairing. That was a brief glimpse of Bulgaria sat within the fairing of our second stage. This means we have left Earth's atmosphere, majority of Earth's atmosphere. On the left side of your screen, you are seeing an image from the top of our first stage. You see two grid fins in the sides of that image. We use those grid fins to guide the stage through the atmosphere to the drone ship. Now those grid fins do look small, but they are about 5 feet long, about 4 feet wide. So they're rather large as we use them to guide ourselves back. You are also seeing occasional puffs come out from the side of the stage. Those are cold nitrogen thrusters that we use to help orient the stage. Our entry burn of the first stage. This is a 3-engine entry burn. For today's mission, since we are landing on the drone ship, we do not have a boost back burn. We only have an entry burn and a landing burn. 2 burns total for today's mission for the first stage. As I mentioned previously, our entry coming in for first stage is one of the highest heating and structural loads. So this is a very challenging first stage maneuver to land on our drone ship. Of course, I still love you.
Of course, I still love you has AOS.
You just heard confirmation that our drone ship has acquisition of signal, AOS, of the first stage as it's coming back.
First stage, stage 1 entry burn is starting.
This is ignition of the entry burn. This burn will last for about 20 seconds. 3-engine entry burn on the first stage on the left.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
We have a good shutdown, confirmation of a good shutdown of the first stage entry burn. Now, it is normal for us to see some of the soot appear on the camera screen. We may also occasionally lose coverage of the first stage entry as we come in through the horizon. That is all perfectly normal. This is expected to lose the signal from stage 1. We will have signal acquisition as we come closer to the drone ship. Meanwhile, you're seeing on our second stage the engine burning. This burn will last about 8 minutes, 30 seconds. And then we will have a coast phase for the second stage before we do our final burn to put Bulgaria Sat into a geostationary transfer orbit.
Second stage, EFT at that stage.
We're coming up in about 30 seconds on our landing burn from the first stage. About 45 more seconds for this stage 2 burn.
Landing burn has started.
The confirmation of the landing burn has started.
Landing legs have deployed.
And it looks like coming into something like that.
Okay, you are watching a live feed. It looks like we missed the landing. This is a live feed of the Falcon 9 rocket, which has just put a Bulgarian telecommunications space into orbit around this planet. This is the landing pad. It landed on a drone ship called Of Course I Still Love You. And this was a key part of this launch, was the actual pinpoint targeted landing. This is the second time that this Falcon has been able to launch successfully a satellite into outer space, and it is the second time that SpaceX has been able to, actually they've been able to successfully land it several other times, but this is the second time they've done a landing after launching an orbit. So what appears to be a very successful mission for SpaceX, which just launched yet another satellite from what was the NASA space launch pad 39A at Kennedy Space Center. They've got another launch coming up on Sunday. And you know what's really exciting, and I totally geek out about this stuff, Rena, is that every time you see one of those pinpoint landings, SpaceX gets one step closer to landing on Mars. That's what they hope these Falcon launches, which you're seeing now, this took place just 10 minutes ago. Every one of those pinpoint landings and every one of those successful landings on a drone ship could mean a successful landing on Mars, potentially colonies in Mars. That's what SpaceX and Elon Musk envision for our future.
One of their very big goals, and as you mentioned, another launch expected on Sunday. You never know how this can go down. They've had some setbacks, but if one thing, Elon Musk certainly determined to make that happen with Mars.
And he's making a lot of money out of it. Just, you know, the way this works is this is a private enterprise, obviously SpaceX, and they get paid tons of money by private clients like the Bulgarian telecommunications giant here that they've just put that satellite into space for to do these launches, and there are dozens in the pipeline.
Fascinating to watch every time it happens and goes down. We're going to continue to watch this, and we've got so much more of the news of the day. We're going to take a short break. You're streaming CBSN.